Hey everybody, welcome back to the build. This is the 1945 crew cab that we're building here for the High Class Trash Invitational. It was a rough week. I didn't get to do much out here at all, actually nothing at all. So I don't have much to show you as far as fabrication, but before you sign off, click off the video, I really do need your help. So I'm going to tell you what my struggle was this week, which was the windshield frame there above the 1945 crew cab that we built. So I really do need input or suggestions from you, anybody watching this who might have a better way to do it than I have obviously failed at doing here this week. So I'll show you quick what I did. Don't forget that when we hit 4,000 subscribers, we're going to do a giveaway, so keep that in mind as well. And the build off isn't until May, so we do have time to figure this out. It was just a really rough week as far as work goes and things like that. I just didn't get time out here. So the other thing that I found is this new DJI camera. It's great. The microphone's way better than the other one that I had, but the battery life is atrocious. It totally sucks. I get maximum an hour if I'm lucky. So then the thing dies, I get frustrated, and it's just really stupid. So I'm gonna shut up with the intro here. I'm gonna show you what I was struggling with, and I really, really would appreciate if you all could give me some insights on what you think I could do to fix up the windshield frame here. So let me turn the camera around. This is going to be a quick one today, so I really, would appreciate if you leave some comments and tell me what you think about the build here. So, all right, let's get into it. All right, so here we are looking at the front of the truck. You can see the 1945 cab. Once we have cut it, split it, and made it wide enough to fit on the 2005, we've gained about a foot on either side of the frame here. So what we need to do is then rebuild the windshield frame and the cowl in front of it. So in regard to the windshield frame, you can see that it's got this funky shape like this, and that is what supports the windshield from behind, and then the roof obviously goes up, and we got to build that as well. But we got to start with the frame. So I need to create that kind of inner structure. I guess it doesn't have to mimic that exactly, but it does need to have a place for the roof skin to weld to. So I have experimented a little bit. Let me go back here to the workbench. So I kind of did a little bit of experimenting, and I kind of did a little bit of like the fitsy technique, which is taking multiple pieces and you kind of weld up a thing. This is like 1/8" plate. This is probably way too heavy for what I need, but you can see here, kind of, I have recreated that groove. And then what I need is another 90 going this way for the roof. So I had tried taking some 18 gauge just to see if I could bend it on my own to kind of make it look like that support channel thing behind the windshield. It came out okay. It's not great. This bend here is not sharp enough. It really needs to be kind of on a sharp angle. That's more like it. It still needs to be even more than that. But this was just temporary. This fits in there, but then I have to make that little 90 as well. So I thought, okay, this square tube is pretty darn close to what I need. This is 1.25 inches, and actually on the truck, that distance from front to back is 1.5 inches. It's pretty close, not great. But anyways, I thought if I cut it open and then I just bent that top corner over, I could make it. It was an okay experiment. It wasn't great. Kind of did all right, but whatever. Then I thought, well, if I just smash down one of these square tubes, maybe I could make it to the right angle. And yes, it does squish down, but then I don't have the support for the roof skin behind it. Then I thought, okay, I'll try doing some 14 gauge metal, because when I took my gauge over there, the thing in the truck is about 14 gauge. This is 1/8. This is way too thick. The 14 isn't quite thick enough. So, when I've got this on there on the truck, the 14 gauge, it doesn't quite fit in there, but 1/8 is too big. So I don't know what they used back then or whatever they stamped it out of. Anyways, it's not exactly what I have. And then I tried bending some more, and I gave this stupid metal brake here, this piece of garbage, I gave it a 0 out of 10 my first video, modified it to a 1 out of 10. It's still a piece of junk. I hate it. I mean, I got these 3 clamps on there. I still can't bend a good 90 on it. Whatever, future me problem. So if you have a suggestion on how to take this thing, I can use this. This is super robust, super strong. Then I just need to add another 90 here, and I could do 2 of these. That would be an option. But I'm not 100% sure if that's the way to go. So if you have a better suggestion, let me know. Then, if we go on to problem the second, that is going to be the cowl. So the cowl, I need to fill in this gap as well. I just have a piece of 1/2-inch angle iron there, just bridging the gap, and that's just temporarily holding it in place. So I need to fill in this area here, which I should be able to do with the spare cowls that I have, because again, we built this truck out of 3. So here is one of them. I can just cut out a section from there to there, and I might have enough. If this one isn't adequate, I have another front cowl out against the outside of the garage that I can cut up and use. But I thought basically I would just undo the spot welds over here, and then I've got this whole piece of sheet metal that I can fill it in with. The only problem is the distance from here to here is narrower than here to here, and I would need to match that up on the cowl of the truck once it's cleaned up. So I also don't know how to go about dealing with that. It seems like that would actually be easier than dealing with the top of the frame. The only issue is that on the 45s, you know, it was kind of a curvy bit right there. So that piece used to connect to that piece, and now they're separated by a foot, and you can see how much that drops. So I'm probably going to need to do some relief cuts or something in that so that that is not as curvy, and then we can mate it up with this one. But again, if you look at this section of the cowl compared to that section of the cowl, this is narrower, and we're going to have to figure that out. So all sorts of different problems that we have to work on here. I guess the one thing that is nice is that I did get the floor done on this side and just threw some primer on there. And the week before I had done the passenger side. So we got the bead rolling in there and everything's done. Got the supports for the B-pillars in. I got some more rectangular square tube that needs to be welded in. But the front floor is pretty much done here. It's ugly. The seam sealer is ugly, but whatever. It's going to work as is, and we're not going to fall through the floor anymore. So with all of that being summarized now, I really would appreciate if you have thoughts on how to create that windshield frame, and if you have any thoughts on the cowl there. So I guess there's not much to this video other than me asking questions and hoping to reward someone who makes comments with a giveaway of some sort. I think it'll be another one of those rustic flags. So anyways, that's that. I will be going to a dirt track race tonight for Tyler Ritchie. Again, I mentioned him in a previous video, unfortunately passed a couple of months ago, but they're doing a fundraiser for his family, wife and kid. So I'm going to that this evening. Should be a good time. Anyways, I'm going to sign off. I appreciate everyone's help. Let me know what you think.
Hello, it's Adam's dad again, with a little more of a history review of the World War II. When did the war begin and when did it end? Theoretically, or practically with the invasion of Poland by Nazi Germany in 1939 on September 1st, and ended with the surrender of Japan in September of 1945. 6 years of horror. But history is a continuum, and the seeds of one age are planted by the previous age. So when did World War II actually start? Well, Europe was in turmoil for at least a dozen years before the start of the war. Italy, in 1935 to 1936, invaded Ethiopia. It was an effort by Mussolini to recreate the Roman Empire. That resulted in 70,000 Ethiopian deaths, military-wise, and another 250,000 civilians on the Ethiopian side. In Japan, well, the Imperial Army invaded Manchuria in 1931. That resulted in some 50,000 deaths and ultimately the formation of a satellite vassal called Manchukuo. Then in 1937, China was invaded by the Imperial Army of Japan after a series of border skirmishes and false flag operations. That horror show resulted ultimately in blended into World War II. Ultimately, the total there is staggering. Some 15 to 20 million civilians died. 1/2 million, at least, Japanese fatalities, and 2 million Chinese military fatalities. Things weren't quiet in Spain. There was a civil war that raged from 1936 to 1939, a particularly vicious affair. The nationalists were led by Francisco Franco, who was a right-winger. He was supported by Nazi Germany, among others. The Republican side was left-wing, made up of communists, socialists, and anarchists, and supplied by Stalin. The Germans sent the Condor Legion there with aircraft that were far advanced of anything at the time, and an armored brigade. And they fought in that war to its completion when Franco won. Fortunately, he did not join the Axis during World War II, but stayed neutral. That war, however, led to something like 90,000 nationalist casualties, 110,000 Republican casualties, and hundreds of thousands on each side of civilian casualties, a lot of it done by execution and retribution in the territory that was held. Nazi Germany wasn't exactly holding still during this time period. Hitler annexed, or actually joined Austria in the Anschluss, which was where Germany and Austria joined arms. He then invaded the Rhineland, which was neutral territory, disarmed, unoccupied part of Germany, as dictated by the Treaty of Versailles. He did that with 1 battalion of foot soldiers. If France or Germany, who had large standing armies at that time, had stepped on Hitler for doing that, who knows if World War II would even have happened. He subsequently took over Czechoslovakia and the Sudetenland, all without firing a shot. So you see, history itself blends in. You could say, with some justification, it started in 1931 in Manchuria. Who knows? Till the next time. Thank you.
just for reference, in our scrap pile there, don't have anything really useful. Got the fenders that we got at Carlisle, still got some of the running boards, but this is the extra cowl that we have, and we can also harvest some parts if we need more metal from this one. We have an extra. The only thing that I really don't have would be the top of the windshield frame, because the two that came out of the barn fire were absolutely roached and not useful at all. So I really wish that I had that so that I could bridge that extra gap that's now up here. I'll have to go to the other garage and see if I have those, but as I recall, I might have just totally scrapped them because they were garbage. Anyways, yeah, that's that. I'm gonna poke away at this thing a little bit, maybe clean up my mess. Oh yeah, here's the solid axle for the solid axle swap. And yeah, I'm gonna go to the dirt track race tonight and give some support. So catch you guys later.
Wave these drivers off, they do appreciate it. As ladies and gentlemen, the Super Wave